the backyard burning their personal papers. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about our name, what our name is today.
Oh, Shimuka Zimbabwe.
Shamuka Zimbabwe. We never really say the whole name.
Not since we were little, but yeah.
So how'd that come about?
No, actually, I think you tell the story a lot better.
Well, the story, the premise of the story is that our mother heard us calling each other a name, I don't know, stupid
Yeah,
or something
whatever.
of
It's
that
like, yeah.
nature. And she was not happy. Everyone got in trouble for that.
Yes.
So we kind of figured out a way to call each other a name without calling each other a name. So one of the names was Shamuka Zimbabwe. That really meant originally it meant that we were mad at each
Yes,
other or
yes,
something,
yes.
something of that
Yeah.
nature. Myrtle.
So we don't really use Myrtle so much, but it was Myrtle Murgatroyd.
Oh, was it Myrtle
It was
Murgatroyd?
it was Shamuka Zimbabwe and Myrtle Murgatroyd. And yeah, then after, as the years went on, it actually became a term of endearment.
Yeah.
So then we would do Shamuka and then, leaving off the Zimbabwe. And then we would it just turned into Shamook.
Yeah. So we very often call each other Shamook. Hey Shamook, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you? Etc. I don't think we rarely call each other by our given name. Like I say Janice sometimes, but
Yeah,
usually it's
cross probably if I answer the
Jan.
phone, I'm like, hey Shamook.
Yeah, or Jansky is
Yeah,
another
yes.
favorite one that I have just about our names. Um, so we're just gonna do like a part two to the to the one we did about, our aging parents and, children, those sorts of things. Only because we know people deal with this on a regular basis. And, part of I feel, and I'll say this, and I think I've said it to our parents, I don't think our parents did all the work that we're doing to make sure our children are just have everything they need to get started.
Okay, they would strongly disagree with that.
I'm sure they would. And they probably did do all that they could do. But what one thing Ma used to say, and I really believe this, is that each generation needs to take the baton further and do a little bit more for the next generation. So I'm sure that her ancestors did the best they could so she could do the best she could so that I can do the best I can. I'm also sure that my children would say that, I didn't do nothing.
Right.
I'm absolutely positive that they would say that probably until they have children of their own and they have to start doing stuff.
Right. Probably.
So I agree that our parents probably would not say that. Would say that they haven't done, you know, they would be mad at me. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, you see, that's why I'm not gonna agree to that on camera at all. I'm not doing that.
So to clear it up for myself, what I will what I will say is I think that they did what they could do. And I think they did better than a lot of parents.
Well, and I think that given their situations of how they grew up, I think that they did better for us than their parents either were able to or were willing to do for them.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I think we have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
I mean, would we have liked to have more? Absolutely.
I think I had everything that I needed as a child.
As a child,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I didn't want for anything.
Yeah.
If I wanted it, I got it. So
For
I
the most
never
part.
really,
I still wanted those dance lessons, but that didn't happen.
oh, I didn't know everything that I really wanted,
I
I got. So I can't even say I didn't have anything or I didn't get anything. And when I talk about foundational pieces, I really I'm really thinking about more of so being an adult than being a child.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, because I got every toy, I had all the fly clothes, I had a leather jacket, and
Yeah, the one that somebody robbed you for.
yeah, that one. Actually, I think I may have had a couple of leather jackets in elementary school, which was unheard of for a kid, a
Hmm.
10-year-old kid, to be walking around with this leather, which is why I got robbed, probably because
It's like what kid is
I'm
walking
walking around
around
with
with
a leather
it?
jacket on. Um, and not looking around because I'm 10
Right.
and not paying attention to my surroundings. I will say that's probably one of the times. I think mom was more upset than I was. I mean, I knew it had happened. I understood that what was going on. I knew it was a robbery.
Hmm.
You know, and hours had passed by because I was coming home from school.
Hmm.
Then when she got home, I told her, and she wanted to go find people, wanted to go to the police. I'm like, that man's long gone.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know what you're gonna do here, but I guess I gotta go with it. I didn't have a description. I couldn't turn
Hmm.
around. So I don't really know, even going to the police, I don't think that. And we did go to the police.
Yeah, but I wonder, to kind of piggyback on that, part of, not that I'm blaming you for what happened, because I surely am not doing that. However, weren't you walking home from school and you were supposed to take the bus because you were trying to, like, you were selling your bus tickets or something?
No, I sold my bus tickets in high school.
Okay,
So
okay,
this was elementary school. So,
okay.
and I used to walk home a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think we talked about like how we pretty much walked all over the
Hmm.
city of Detroit. Like that was not a
I'm
thing. Like now people are like, wow.
Yeah, I had an option I mean, I had an option every day of taking the bus. But usually I could get home before I
Before the
could,
bus.
yeah. So I would just take the bus. Usually I just took the bus in the winter, like the dead of
Mhm.
winter when it was just so cold. But I hardly ever took the bus from elementary school home. I usually walked home, every day. So thanks for not blaming me for that. 'Cause there's really nothing to blame. But
Right.
so back to what I was saying. So I didn't want for anything as a child. So I do appreciate that, from our parents. I was just, I think, and I think, our mother for sure gave me some money too, when I was first buying a house,
Mm.
you know.
Which is, I mean, which is crucial. I mean, some people don't have that. I mean, some people have more and some people have less. I mean, I think, we have what we needed to help to give us the foundations to build to be able to give our children,
Hmm. Hmm.
things and opportunities. So,
I mean, and that's really that foundational piece. So I hope that my children have, even more to give their children, I hope. But it appears that inflation has grown out of control
drastically.
versus our salaries.
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
don't know if they're going to have anything. So I did want to give them more so that they could start,
Hmm.
with more of an even footing.
Yeah.
I didn't worry about student loans and things like that when I graduated. I know it's a thing now
Hmm.
that that people have student loans, and not saying I didn't have any, I just didn't worry about it. Because whatever I had, I probably didn't really need it, but
At the time, yeah.
yeah, because I really was working a work study job, which is really supposed to go towards your tuition.
Hmm.
They don't tell you that part. And I had a full-time job at night.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I really could have probably paid whatever it was, but I opted for the loan, which I did pay back eventually. But I know nowadays the student loan process is a lot.
Hmm.
So, just going through it and having, money to pay for daily necessities is hard.
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about what kind of parent do you what would your daughter how would your daughter describe you as a parent?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would like to think that she would think that I am like dependable, like like I'm prayerful that she understands that mom is always going to be there.
Hmm.
Like I'm always, going to be there. I'm always going to help her navigate through, life challenges, struggles, answers or whatever. But um be enough a way to allow her to do it like her own way or whatever. That's what I hope. What she would say, I don't know. She might be like, she's a mean she's just too much.
Does she sound like that?
In my head, when I hear her complaining about something, it's like, it's how you know your children,
Hmm.
she calls me mommy. I was insisting on that as she, when she was first talking. Don't call me ma like I call my mother. Don't call me, ma or mama or whatever. I'm mommy. I've earned that. So it's a way that she says, like, mommy. I'm like, yeah, she's not happy right now. So
I don't think my children call me anything.
they call you he. I'm like,
Like Mr. M.R. period.
well, he such and such. I'm just like,
I'm not mad at it though. I really enjoy it. Well, when I first heard about that, I thought it was funny because I call our father he.
oh, okay.
Like
Well, that's probably, hey, picked up that ball again.
I am not mad at it though. I have heard them refer to me as my dad, like, that's my dad, remember dad. But I know when they're talking about me, they
Say
say
he,
he.
yes.
I guess depending on who they're talking to, because I've heard them say my dad. Well, that's my dad, or something like that. Which I also find hilarious, by the
Yeah,
way.
for sure.
Um, I was no, what was I gonna? We were talking about. Oh shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say that quickly because I'm older now. And it's hard to remember sometimes all of the things you were going to say. Also, please know we're going without a script. We have a script every week, and we were going to do part two to this. We were like, oh, let's freestyle. You know, Freestyle is a lot harder, and
Absolutely.
so props to all the rappers who can freestyle just at the drop of a hat, or comics who can just make you
Or,
laugh.
those speakers out there, like there are speakers like if they're like in the audience and somebody calls them up and they can come up and just,
Yes,
but actually you're kind of like
I
that.
can do that. I
Yeah,
can do that.
yeah.
But this is not if we had a live studio audience, which is something I did think about since since we're in the same space. Like, what
Oh,
if we had a live studio audience? That would be interesting. Like, what would happen there? Yeah, like, hey, can you come over? But then we have all this extra tape. But I was hoping all that would make me remember what I was going to say. But as far as what my kids would say about me, I don't know.
yeah,
And I don't think you ever really know. The
mm-mm.
other thing Ma used to say, and I firmly believe this, is that you don't tell people who you are, people tell you. So
Interesting.
yeah, you don't say I'm the best out there. Somebody will say to you, you're the best out there. And because I mean, I toot my own horn a lot. I firmly believe that you need to speak your own power.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's also, but me saying it is just me saying it, maybe trying to speak truth, power to truth, truth to power,
Truth power.
truth to power. But somebody else saying it, that's how you know it's true.
Mhm.
It's like you had 5 people say that today. It must be true. a common misconception that people have of me is that I'm extremely friendly because I'm able to be gregarious in certain situations, like at work, those sorts of things. And they think I'm really, really, they don't really understand that it takes a lot to do that.
Mhm.
So for me, I need to like decompress when I get home when you're being around a bunch of people.
Mhm.
If they want to meet, you people want to meet at a bar and those sorts of things. I have to kind of psych myself up to it. And the people who are closest to me know that if y- I'm probably not coming. Like 9 times out of 10, I will not be there, even though I said I would. But at a certain time, they know it's done. It's a
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't start at 9 o'clock, I ain't coming.
Right.
Or 8 o'clock or 7, because I like to be home by 10 watching Matlock.
As you were saying that, I was thinking, like, yeah, nobody says that I'm friendly. That's not the word that
Hmm.
comes up when you're talking about me. And first, I think most people think that I'm mean, I'm stuck up, I'm standoffish.
Stuck up is something I think people only say about women, though.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably, and usually it's other women, unfortunately. But I do until people get to know me. What they don't understand is, I mean, even though I think for most of my life I've always been in some type of leadership role,
Hmm.
like in front of people or whatever, and I don't really know how that happened.
Hmm.
I'm very, very introverted, like probably extremely
Hmm.
introverted. So that doesn't mean that I'm like, like I'm not going to be the one to, even though I think it's funny, I might say, that was funny.
Hmm.
Like, like I mean, I think that is the misconception. And then of course, when I walk in the room, they're like, oh, like who she thinks she is because of the,
Oh,
standing tall and all of that. Frequently have people come and say, you stand up really tall. I'm like,
well, that
you
one.
would too if your parents put that book on your head.
Yeah. Did mom put a book on your head?
You probably were younger then, but so very, very clumsy. I was very, very clumsy,
Hmm.
always falling and stuff like that. So they came up with this idea, which was very common in the 60s and
Probably the
early 70s or
40s,
whatever. Like it
50s.
was, that's how you got perfect posture is you walk with a book on your, and so every day after school, I would have to come. It felt like hours. It probably was maybe 30 minutes, but it felt like hours as a kid walking with that book, on my head and it can't fall. And I had to, until I mastered that, that's when I got to stop.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't think I walk with a book on my head, but I do hold my head up. Like I never hold my head down.
Mhm.
I always have my head up and I'm always looking. And I think that definitely came from our parents. Like you
Well,
look
yes,
you
yes,
and I
yeah,
also think that came from them because of, they're from the rural South
yes,
where they
absolutely.
couldn't look white people in the eye.
Yeah.
Like you look people in the eye.
Now, I do remember going away to college, and I mean, Dad didn't give us a lot of stuff, but there were times when he did. But I do remember when I was going away, he came to see me off, and he was like, "Look, I want you to remember because I was going to a PWI." He was like, "Look," and it was the 80s. Like people don't really realize the racial tension that was still
Yeah,
going
it was
on
a lot.
at that particular time. He was like, "Look, I want you to know this. Do not put your head down. Look, always keep your head up. Look people in the eye. I don't care who they are. You do not, when you're passing a group of white people, do not put your head down." And that actually was important to me,
Hmm.
so.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that advice.
Well,
Um,
I think I probably got it because I needed it more than you.
maybe, maybe. I wasn't one to put my head down
Yeah, so
though.
I think I probably needed it more than you did.
Because I always feel like I belong. They talk about imposter syndrome and those sorts of things.
Mhm,
Like, no, I belong here. In fact, I'm the one who created this madness. Maybe you don't belong here, but I do.
mhm,
So I never feel like, and when I talk to young teachers, young faculty, it's a lot of people who think, well, maybe I shouldn't be here.
mhm,
I'm like, yeah, you should be here. You should be here. This place is for you too.
mhm.
It may be more for you than anybody else. Um, do people, do only Black people say PWI? Does anybody else know what a PWI is? Every time I see PWI, it's written in a Black context. Like I never see it in any formal writing.
You know what? I was about to say something. I was like, hmm. No, I don't know the answer to that. I guess I'll say that. But yes, I mean, well, if you predominantly white institution,
Yeah, which is, most of them.
which is most of
So,
them.
and there are other designations, like there's a H I H A Hispanic HSI
Oh,
Hispanic Serving Institution.
hmm
Um, I think there's a one that talks about having primarily people of color at the institution. But all of those are within the PWI
hmm
context.
hmm
So they're at PWIs, but they are also a Hispanic serving institution or
hmm
whatever it is. But the institution itself is a PWI.
hmm
Let's be, clear about that. What I often wonder, I mean, we have HBCUs. I often wonder why we didn't have Native American institutions the same way we have HBCUs. I realize that a lot of the HBCUs were founded by white people.
hmm
Probably so we didn't go to school with them.
Yes, it was about, well, my thought is because I haven't done the research, but I will. Like, my thought is it wasn't really that, they were, I mean, I think in some ways it was kind of philanthropic, but in other ways it was ways to ensure that, colored folks didn't end up at Harvard or,
And they did anyway.
and they did anyway, because that's what we do.
Okay. We're way off our
I
topic.
know. That's what happens when you freestyle. You start talking about some other stuff.
Because I was mentioning, I think I did say I don't know what my kids would say, but hopefully I would think that they would say that I did a good job. Um, that's all I really want is
Yeah.
to say. One thing my son did say once when he was about to graduate from college, the same one who thinks he put himself through school, um, is that, I'm going to pay you back, everything that you've given. And I'm like, you don't owe me anything.
Mhm.
You don't owe me a penny. You don't owe me nothing. But your job is, if you should have children, you please go out and do even more
Mhm.
so that your children can have more.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing I would think. My youngest son did say thanks once because he went to school, he went to college, and he called me on the phone and said, so I realized that I didn't grow up like a lot of other people.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, you didn't. He was like, and for that, I want to say thank you.
Mhm.
And I appreciated that because you do hope that, they do understand. I know in the moment they don't understand. Why can't
Mhm.
I go to the swimming creek?
Right.
With my friends who I just met today.
Right. Right.
Like, no, you can't go.
That actually kind of put me in the mind of when my daughter was younger. I mean, I've always been a journaler. I journaled forever. I mean, at first it started as a diary. I can't remember which of our parents gave it to me, but then, I kept that practice on, and of course, it became more thoughtful. I remember like one of my first diary entries was I was mad because somebody didn't give me money for ice cream. I remember writing that, but of course, it became so. One of the things when she was younger, I would write down things that I was praying about, and um, she happened because I had left it open for whatever reason, and she saw that I was praying about being a good mom. And she came to me and she was like, I saw, in your journal that you are praying about being a good mom. And she said, you don't have to pray about that anymore.
Oh, oh, that's good. And that's all at the end of the day, that's all you want.
Yeah,
That's all you want. Just somebody to,
affirm.
and again, going back to what Ma said, you don't have to tell people you're a good mom. They
Yeah,
will tell you. And for me, it needs to be the right person.
yeah,
Like, my friends can say it, but they're not my kids.
yeah.
If my kids say it, that's something that's important.
Hmm.
That's the important part. So we're getting close to the end of 30 minutes. We're at 25 minutes, and we're going to try to keep it at 30 for this special, freestyle, whatever day of the week this is. Is there anything else, you know, and I do want to come back to our parents, only because I want to say, and there's a couple of other things I want to say. Only because I want to say that, for a very long time, I wanted when I became a father, I didn't really know what to
Hmm.
do or how to do it. My father has always been in and around my life, but not like he could have done more,
Hmm.
just being a dad. So I always wanted to do more. I always wanted to be a part,
Hmm.
the everyday life of my kid
Hmm.
or children. I didn't want to be a weekend
Hmm.
father, every other weekend father. I want to be like an everyday father. So I do remember very early on having a you know a child, and I talked to my sons who had been a father first. He had been a father for several years at that point, and we talked about fatherhood and what that meant. And then he said something profound because I don't think he had had the father that he had wanted either. He was like, "Well, I just think about what my father would do and do the opposite."
Hmm.
So I would say that I did that for a very long time.
Hmm.
I would think about what my father would do, and then I would just do the absolute opposite of what that thought was.
Hmm.
And that's how I got to be this father. Um, and I can't, like I said, I don't know if my children would say everything was great or anything like that, but they do know I was there.
Hmm.
They do know I was there and a part of their lives.
Well, I think, I mean, listening to you just share that, I think that the important thing about all of it, however our parents parented us,
Hmm.
or lack thereof, that they hopefully that we're learning something about how to parent. Like you
Yeah,
said, either to not do that, and sometimes we have to be intentional about that, because sometimes now my social work stuff about to come out, counseling stuff about to come out, because we get socialized into behaviors that we don't even know that we're carrying
right,
on, or like those things make us very comfortable, and you don't realize it even when it's not healthy. So sometimes just being really intentional about, okay, this is what happened to me, but it should not have been that way. So I'm not going to perpetuate that, and just working on that is very important. I mean, I guess for me, I mean, yeah, there are definitely pieces of, my childhood parenting that I'm like, it just was not how it should have been. But I do look at parts of, like, with our mother in particular. One of the things that she always gave me a safe space to talk about how I was feeling, and that was not really popular,
Mhm.
in that generation of parenting. And I pray that I've been able to do the same thing, with my own child, that I give her also a safe space to be able to share feelings. Like, okay, you may not agree with what I'm saying, but just, being the person that I can share this with, and now I know, like, it's not gonna go through all through the family
Yeah.
or all through the friends or whatever. Just, you know, kinda having that. I think that, for our dad, he has tried to be a better grandfather, to our kids,
Mhm.
knowing that there were a lot of, there's a lot of gaps,
Yeah.
in our lives with him. And so I think he's tried to be more intentional about, like, staying current with what's happening with them, and, knowing what's happening in their lives and trying to be part of what's going on with
Mhm.
them.
Mhm. My hope, is that, if they do decide to be parents, that we've given them a decent foundation to build upon.
Mhm.
My parents did this, or however that works for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Um, so that's about it for today. I was gonna talk about Renaissance High School.
Why?
Because I read in the US News and World Report that it's the number one high school in the state of Michigan, or the city of Detroit,
Really?
or something.
I mean, I do remember seeing an article out there, but I think so. Yes, unfortunately, my alma mater didn't rank as high. However, comma, um, I think we all know that. I mean, internationally known, um, has technical high school, since we're putting stuff out there. Like, I mean, I don't know what more we can say. I'm just like, I mean, it is unfortunate, but I still think that,
Well,
we're still producing and continue to produce people that are game changers in various areas, um, of the world, and different industries. And I think that's the most important thing. Right?
maybe.
It is.
What you can't say is that you're number one.
No, we will always be number one.
Well, I beg to differ. And on that note, it was good seeing you all, and we will see you all soon.